Let's talk about the plunging us back into the dark ages secretary, Ed Miliband, and his problem with wind. Rupert Darwall joins us. He's the author of Green Tyranny. A very good morning to you, Rupert.
Good morning, Julia.
I'm being a bit naughty there, aren't I? But you know, the man needs to be mocked because he really is a danger to our country. He really is. But look, let's talk about why Ed Miliband is in the news today and what is the problem with wind.
Well, as we know, the problem with wind is it doesn't always blow, does it? And therefore, if you're relying on wind energy, your electricity supply is going to be intermittent. And if you want to keep the lights on, it means you actually have to have a parallel system of gas-fired, nuclear, coal even, power stations to keep the lights on. That's the fundamental problem with wind.
Now, the government, they've slashed forecasts for the amount of electricity they expect wind farms to generate. And we're told this is a blow to the net zero plans, but documents published before an auction of green energy subsidies this week, officials said they were revising down the predicted efficiency of wind turbines by more than a quarter. As a result, they say, of updated modelling. And this is the problem, isn't it? If the wind doesn't blow, you don't get any wind. And certainly the last few weeks, I mean, we've had quite a few weeks where there's been very little wind and where the wind turbines are, and so they're not generating anything. And if it blows too much, they have to be turned off. I mean, it's mind-blowing.
Yes.
But a quarter, I mean, basically saying they're going to produce a quarter less than they thought they were going to produce.
Yeah, there's Professor Gordon Hughes of Edinburgh University has done a lot of work on wind turbines, and especially offshore wind turbines. And the problem with wind is two things. One is, as we've talked, the wind doesn't always blow. But the other thing that's less well understood is that wind turbine efficiency degrades over time. And his estimates of how quickly they degrade are both more accurate and more pessimistic than the ones used by, you guessed it, Julia, the wind lobby and the civil service.
But the thing is, these things cost a fortune. They're made in China using coal-fired powered factories. They're then shipped over, on oil-powered or diesel-powered ships. They come here. They're massive, big constructions. They use a lot of rare earth metals and things. But they don't last that long, do they? And we're not quite sure what we're going to do with them when we're finished with them. Is it about 10 years they last maximum?
Well, perhaps 15 if you're lucky. But remember, Ed Miliband, in the next allocation round for the offshore wind, is going to give them basically 20-year guaranteed prices paid for up by us, incidentally.
So they get 20. So it doesn't matter how inefficient they are, and if they're not used, they're going to be guaranteed the money.
No, they're guaranteed the money for the electricity they produce, or the electricity they say they produce when their power output is curtailed, which is another bit of the bit of the scam.
We know Richard Tice, the Deputy Leader of Reform, he's made it very clear. Look, all these subsidies, all of this stuff, we even when we get into power, which is, 2029 is not that far away with long-term planning, you ain't going to get any of this stuff. So good luck, bid for whatever you want, but we are going to tear up those contracts. A, will they be able to do that? And B, is that actually hitting those bidders?
Well, the other thing to take on board is that the wind industry globally is cratering. I mean, it really is over. So the biggest wind operator, Ørsted, the Danish company, has got a €9 billion rights issue, equity raise, because it's in dire financial trouble. And also the penny's dropping that offshore wind is completely absurd. It is absolutely crazy to put these massive wind turbines out somewhere in the middle of the sea in a very harsh operating environment where they're very difficult to maintain. They degrade very quickly. They get faults the whole time. It's absolutely an insane way to generate electricity.
Because I would have thought having them in the sea was better than having them. I mean, I absolutely hate it when you're driving on the beautiful countryside and you can see wind turbines everywhere. I'd rather they were in the sea over there. But you say, if practically it doesn't work, it's almost like, I'm going out on a limb here, Rupert, they didn't think any of this stuff through.
It's a con. It's basically a con. And the thing is that the reason why the government was conned and the political class was conned, because they use blackmail, emotional blackmail, moral blackmail, which is, if you don't do this stuff, you are going to destroy the planet.
Think of the children, Rupert. Think of the children.
Kids and your grandkids and all that nonsense. It's just pure blackmail. And that's what made it happen. So anyone who said, put a question mark over this, oh, you're imperiling the future of the planet.
That's the key thing, isn't it? And we've got this massive big, black hole, apparently, 50, 60, what is it this week ahead of the budget in a month's time? But at the end of the day, we're not getting out of anywhere unless we actually start increasing our GDP and actually producing stuff and selling stuff. And no one can do that in Britain at any good profit because they can't afford their energy operating costs. And that is because of the fact that
net
we are
zero.
relying too much. Yeah,
net zero.
It's that simple.
Now, this is a really big point because wind power is far less efficient, i.e. it's less productive than fossil fuel power stations. So if you remember in the last Conservative government, we had Lord Alok Sharma going around the country blowing up coal-fired power stations. Yeah. And what that does is pushes up costs and it crushes the economy's productive potential. Yeah. So that's why we're in the mess we're in.
I mean, you can either have, economic prosperity or you can have your net zero madness, but it's one or the other. It really is. Rupert Darwall, you've always been a great explainer of these things. Thank you so much. Author of Green Tyranny, Rupert Darwall. Your lot and the Tories were just as bad on this. They really were. Theresa May, genuinely one of the worst prime ministers ever in history. Genuinely on this. But this lot are even more. Yes. Absolutely obsessed with it. But the reality is biting now.
Well, of course it is. And you only have to look at the weather event over in Jamaica at the moment. What are they running their houses on currently? Generators. Diesel-operated generators, because when all else fails, fossil fuels are the only things that work.
But people are still trying to do it. Was it some claim? According to computer modelling, this has been so right so far, it's 500 more times likely that you're going to get these Category 5 hurricanes. But it's just they literally make this up. You put rubbish in, you get rubbish out. I could come up with a computer model that said it was 1,000,000 times more. It's utterly meaningless. They're either increasing or they're not. They're not increasing in Frosty, they're not increasing in number. You occasionally get some really, really bad storms, and otherwise you don't. And you know what you do if you've got industrial economic power? You're able to build stronger homes, stronger buildings, and keep people alive, which is why when these things happen in richer countries, not many people die and not so many buildings are damaged. It's really that simple. Industrial revolution, you're welcome, the world. We gave it to you.